It's been said that necessity is the mother of invention. And with the COVID-19 pandemic continuing to make its way across the country, many are beginning to think retailers may have to do a little reinventing in their stores to embrace the new normal. To talk about how retailers may begin to reimagine the way they serve customers in the future, we sat down with veteran store designer Joe Bona, whose firm, Bona Design Lab in New York City, has designed among the most beautiful stores in the world. Joe, thanks for joining us. We're 4 months into this pandemic and all of the changes that have been required. And it looks like a lot of these, or many of these, are here to stay. But as you start to reimagine the store moving forward, looks like you've got some ideas that really could create opportunity moving forward.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. And it's funny I'm getting more used to meeting people on my laptop than I ever have in the last 10 years. And so yeah, definitely live in a new and different age. And I think as people start to return to normal, what we keep questioning is what is that normal, and how soon will people forget and drop their guard and just pretend everything is like nothing ever happened. And so we don't know. But we're also anticipating some things will stick. And we're trying to anticipate some of that through some of the designs that we're, conjuring up in our own head. And we thought we'd try to share some of those with you today.
One of the most interesting things that you're working on is making adjustments in the way the customer flows through the store and really taking something that's being required and actually turning it into an opportunity to improve store performance.
Yeah. So, we've all experienced now the painter's tape on the floor. And we thought, maybe a logical way to think about the layouts in our stores, in our industry, is how can we use layout to create an organized sense of flow? And so we developed this forced flow, which actually we developed a number of years ago. And we, in our mind, it's what's old is new again. And we thought maybe now's the time to sort of blow off the dust and see if maybe this isn't an appropriate way to think about the future. So not that you would be redoing your stores today, but if you were to build a new store with today's knowledge, how might you think about flow? And would a dedicated entrance and a separated exit that allows people to navigate in an organized way through the space, that gets them to literally walk through all of your impulse and your high margin categories like food service and coffee and beverages, and allow for people to be able to either check out through their phone, like Amazon Go, or through just self-checkout. But we looked at layout, at how both technology as well as just the functional aspects of how you lay out the space might be a way of removing painter's tape, yet still giving people that sense of confidence.
Right. Yeah, we'd like to see that go away, I think. But, it's interesting. I look at this layout and I'm reminded of IKEA, where, you may be at IKEA to buy a, bed frame, but you're going through the office and the kitchen and all the different sections. And I'm sure that has an impact on sales. And I think if I recall, I heard you speaking on another program recently, and this approach has actually affected profitability, hasn't it?
It has. And so there's been some studies of not exactly with this layout, but with a similar approach to sort of an organized, I hate using the word forced, but obviously people understand that word. So, but it's just a better organized way, like IKEA. And their results showed a huge increase in just general exposure to the high margin categories, but also an increase in sales and an increase in margin. So we do know that these techniques do work. They've been proven in the past. And so we think that, that these could be reasonable solutions, both for sales, but also for safety.
And when we think of the customer's mindset, we really are at a critical juncture where I don't think it's ever been more important to convey and communicate to the customer that a store is clean and safe.
Well, a good friend of mine who's now with McKinsey, Klaus Mantel, said that today's environment, consumers think about, especially in our industry, relate dirty to lethal. Because there's a bit of a legacy attitude of our stores, maybe not always being the cleanest. But when you layer on the pandemic, then obviously dirty and pandemic don't go together, right? And so, he coined this phrase of dirty equals lethal. And so in my mind, we were thinking, boy, there's got to be ways of better communicating to people that our stores are safe, that we have taken care of your concerns, and that we're here to make sure that you have a safe environment to shop. So we developed a number of things. One is a hygiene station. And we thought, even if people don't use it, but what better way to deliver a powerful message of safety if I had a little 2-foot freestanding kiosk, whether it's a hand sink with water, whether it's handy wipes, whether it's hand sanitizing lotion, almost doesn't make a difference. But if there was a simple message that said, it only takes 20 seconds, your health is our health, then what better way to communicate to people that, we really have taken this idea of safety very seriously, and we're here to make sure that we're providing that safety back to you. We've also added a little digital screen because we also thought if we've got you captured for 20 seconds, hopefully, that in those 20 seconds, what else can I tell you? Perhaps I'm telling you how to wash your hands. Maybe I'm telling you don't forget to stop by our bakery department for the freshest muffins, whatever it may be. But now I've got you captured for 20 seconds, and perhaps that's an opportunity to, talk a little bit about safety or what else is going on in the store.
Right. And just having this, like you said, having this in the store just makes a statement in and of itself.
I think so. Yeah. As I said, I think even if people don't use it,
Right.
I just think the fact that it's there, I think it does on its own just deliver a powerful message. And I think it starts to give people the sense of confidence.
Right. And in terms of messaging, certainly we know that if they're using it for 20 seconds. So we've got like a commercial, we've got 20 seconds. We can tell them something.
That's right. Exactly. So I think that's that's really the benefit of, a lot of digital communication today are sort of in store. And they're sort of just noise. People aren't really taking the time. It doesn't feel like a one-on-one conversation. It feels like a group conversation. And, maybe we hear and listen and see some of it. But I think this, to me, becomes more one-on-one. And that's one of the things that I like about it. If I got you captured, then perhaps I could talk to you specifically. And maybe that's more powerful.
And then there's self-serve coffee. It seems like the industry is all over the place with this. Some stores are moving it behind the counter, but you seem to think that it's going to be back, just maybe different.
Yeah, so we thought that, if we were to take a look at safety, we were to take a look at communications, and we were to take a look at technology, how might we combine all of those to sort of address this idea of, post-COVID design and just providing people a better place, a safer place. And so our coffee our coffee station is similar to what you would see today. It's, your normal, I don't know, whatever, 8 to 12 feet of coffee. But it's in a self-serve way. And, maybe it's not decanters, maybe it's bean to cup, machines. And we've got them we've got the offer replicated in 3 stations with dividers in between. The purpose of that is to provide distance between people. And so, each station serves one person. There's handy wipes there so that if you're using the touch screen, that before and after you need to wipe the screen clean. And then, we thought, what if technology could actually work where maybe you don't have to manually touch the machine, but you could actually use your phone to activate the machine. And so you're ordering the extra large latte with double sugar. You order that on your phone, and then you just wave your phone in front of the machine, and it dispenses the coffee exactly as you ordered it. So you're really not having to touch. It's really contactless. Mm-hmm. So those are just things that we thought of. How do you put it together? And then we've also added a digital display as well, perhaps to also communicate to you what to do and our expectations of how you'll interact with this little area. But back to this idea of one-on-one communication, what if there's some sort of, I don't know, I'm not a IT guy, and so maybe I'm not using exactly the right words, but, if there was like a geofencing element where you walk up and it recognizes, hi, hey, John, how are you? Good to see you again. And now I really, again, I've got this one-on-one piece of communication versus just a generalized message.
And making the customer feel comfortable. I think, I know personally, early on when they started to open things up, it was really unclear how to use certain stores, whether you can go in, whether it's curbside, and if you're in the store, what to do. So I think this is an opportunity to, offer some comfort, explain to the customer, make them feel at ease that you can do this and it's okay and you're doing it right, and it's safe.
Yeah, I think, that's the big thing, and it's a way for self-serve to return, but just return in a safe way. So, our view is that maybe it doesn't disappear totally. It just reappears in a different way. And so maybe the equipment changes. Maybe we do need to have some dividers. Maybe the variety has to get, minimized a bit so that we can create these separations of these vertical panels that create separation. So, again, I think we think it's just going to return, but perhaps just in a different way.
And the last concept that you touch on is condiments and the condiment bar. Seems like self-serve condiments are pretty much gone today.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of the, best in class in our industry, condiments are, it's empowering people to do it their way. If you want 3 sugars or 5 sugars or, triple cream, I mean, you get to do it the way that you want it. And it's really been a large part of the success of self-serve offers. and not just for beverages, but for food as well. And I know there's, chains that have, great roller programs, and, they use the condiment area to, sometimes these folks who depend on, belly fillers to use condiments is to actually enhance the meal. And so, but that's part of, why they go there. It's part of the loyalty to those chains. And so, if you had to look at condiment stations returning, again, we took the idea from the coffee station and said that if we sort of look at an island, which many condiment stations are today, they're sort of two-sided islands. But what if we took that island and divided it into 4s with safety screens in between? Again, we would add handy wipes or hand sanitizer. We'd have a digital board that communicates our expectations of how you interact with that area. And perhaps everything is pre-packed, so there's no more open containers. And I know that there's companies that make dispensing machines for creamers and milks and sugar. And so perhaps those could also be activated digitally. I know you could do them by touch screen. So, maybe everything goes into these digital machines, whether it's touch screen or maybe you could use your phone to activate it. But everything becomes now prepackaged and it becomes safe.
I like to see an opportunity. I think with all of this, there's an opportunity to take lemons and make lemonade. So
I love that quote. Exactly right. I think that's exactly the attitude that people have to have, and how do we take lemons and turn it to lemonade? And, we're in a situation where there's, a lot of lemons out there right now. We're all struggling to figure out what to do with them. But the opportunity is going to present itself, and a lot of people will be advancing. I think we will see people turning lemons into lemonade for sure. Yeah. And, as sort of the final thought, it's, it's the way back to, our friend Klaus, who said that today's environment, dirty equals lethal. I'd argue that we want to turn that around where safety equals sales. Right. And so I think that if we can communicate a message of safety through design, through communications, through technology, that sales will return. And I think they'll return to even a greater degree than they did, pre-COVID. So, I say that, looking forward, it's, thinking about all these things in a really integrated way.
Mm-hmm. Well, Joe, thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is all very interesting, exciting. Again, taking a real challenge and finding an opportunity to move things forward, move the industry forward. So
I appreciate it, John. Thanks. Always great seeing you, and hope one of these days at one of these industry events as they come back, we all get to see one another again. Yeah. So you stay safe, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Joe. Take care.